Hello everyone, welcome back to Shota Aizawa Podfics. Today we're reading part 3, which finally, goddamn, I'm sorry, I'm literally so slow, of their Gamer Nerds, Your Honor. This is by CS130527 on Hinge Grapefruit. And this part is called, It is totally 100% Endeavor's fault this happened. Here's the summary. Oh yeah, and it's 2,000 words, this part. Summary. That moment when you're supposed to be enemy, but actually close friend Shigaraki Tomura crashes your school's summer training camp. Also, Dabi can't climb a tree to save his life. What the hell are you doing here? Midoriya hisses at Shigaraki. They were in the middle of the forest at the secret location of the first year hero course's summer training camp. He was supposed to be running through the tunnel of fear. Forest of fear? Whatever they were calling it. Not chit-chatting with his supposed to be enemy, but actually close friend Shigaraki Tomura. What the hell are you doing here? He threw back, dragging Midoriya further into the woods. This is supposed to be my school's summer training camp. Or have you forgotten that I'm training to be a hero? Oh shit. I guess Sensei did say that. My bad. Honestly, I thought that this was just another elaborate way for you to kidnap me so we could talk about video games. It could be, he offered, smiling. It is after final exams, so technically it's fair game. You're lucky I don't have a half-decayed animatronic suit to stuff you in right now, he said. He was glaring at his friends, but there really was no malice behind it. Normally I'd be terrified, but that doesn't really seem like your choice murder method. You seem more like a hydraulic press type of guy. Yes, I do love to plan elaborate schemes meant to confuse even those presumed to have the highest power with my not-quite enemies. It's always great fun, but alas, I don't have time for that at the moment. I am a bit busy trying to help my class fight off your little minions. What are you guys even here for, if not for my incredibly enlightening commentary and theories? Sensei wanted us to kidnap that explosive boy, and I think Dabi had something he wanted to do too, but he wouldn't say anything. Told me if I kept asking, he'd leak something worse than any sex tape. Whatever the hell that means. Fine, you can take Kachan, but all sales are final. You cannot return him, he says, and ran off in the opposite direction they came from, leaving his friend confused. While he and Shigaraki were actually kind of friends, he wasn't just going to let him run around attacking his classmates. Aside from ensuring everyone's safety, his most important goal was to get Krusty's band of misfits back to their bar. Muscular didn't really understand why he was broken out of jail to help attack a camp full of children. Honestly, it seemed pretty weird if you asked him, but after spending ages locked up, he was itching for a fight. However, what confused him more was when he saw the leader of this operation just casually talking to one of the kids here, like they were friends or something. Maybe it was just that guy's way of taking down opponents, annoying them to death or whatever. Sekijiro-chan was not prepared for this. Yes, in a moment of weakness, he had made fun of 1A for being attacked at the USJ. But he never thought it would happen again. As he argued with the children, trying to convince them to stay inside, he thought that maybe he should have pressed harder on getting a separate field trip for each class. Because not only was he unprepared to fight who knows how many villains, he was also unprepared to deal with some of the most stubborn students he'd ever met. They just wouldn't give up. It was like they had some sort of death wish. Villains, villains, villains. That's all he could think about, especially because there was a heavily scarred one following him around the woods. He took a left. So did the man. He ran up a hill. So did the man. He climbed a tree. So did the man. He tripped over a rock. And so did this man. There appeared to be no escape, and he was starting to get worried. Who would possibly be so dedicated to track him down? Maybe even kidnap him? Endeavor. His father had to be behind this. There was absolutely no other possibility to explain this villain following him around. He really didn't think his father would stoop so low, but he really shouldn't have been surprised. He just hoped that this villain's friend didn't give his friends too much trouble. As Izuku ran through the woods, he couldn't help but wonder what Shigaraki was feeding everyone. Before he made it back to the pro heroes, he narrowly avoided Toga, who was flirting with Uraraka and Dabi. And Dabi, who he briefly interacted with at the bar, struggling to climb up one of the trees. He also watched this very big and bulky man, who he later learned was muscular, stomp aimlessly through the forest, muttering about crushing bones. But he did eventually find a responsible adult, although it took a few tries. Pixie Bob and Mandalay were busy fighting off a villain with a lizard mutation, and Tiger and Ragdoll were up against the red-haired villain with some sort of magnetism quirk. He was finally able to reach Aizawa after running past Vlad King, trying to barricade the remedial lesson students into the main building. Their main target is Kachan. Bakugo, he said, trying to catch his breath. There's something to do with Todoroki too, but, didn't catch much detail on that one. After Aizawa finished questioning him, he went to tell Mandalay the information so she could broadcast it to the rest of the students and heroes. Izuku was told to go inside and wait with the remedial lessons kids, or to at least stay put. A command which was followed for about 1 minute, until he decided this time would be rather spent directing the rest of his peers back to the main building. Somehow, those damn kids managed to get past him and out of the makeshift classroom. Fortunately, he was able to catch up to them before they could get outside. It proved to be a lot harder than he had thought, with electricity, acid, and tape being thrown at him, along with being pushed through the doorway. It didn't take very long for him to be brushed away like a piece of loose hair. He knew that Shota would never leave him in charge of 1A again, something he was secretly quite pleased about, but he didn't really have the time to think about that. There were many more important things to deal with. Muscular couldn't find a single damn kid. It was quite frustrating when all he wanted to do was get in one good fight. Part of him wished he was still in Tartarus, because at least there he could have fought someone. He was honestly so bored that he was tempted to call the police and heroes on himself, just for a little bit of entertainment. Everyone was beginning to tire out. Most fights had finished, and a clear winning had been declared. The only thing left to do was get everyone to Hiragiri before any more heroes showed up to detain them all. Most of his classmates were sitting by the main building, keeping an eye on the few tied-up villains, while the wild pussycats in Eraserhead worked on containing more students and villains. Izuku, when he had the chance, snuck away from the group and back off into the woods to look for his remaining peers in Shigaraki. He ran into Shigaraki, who looked a bit distressed. First, you look like you've just seen someone talk about FNAF World, seriously. Are you okay? Shigaraki shook his head and pointed a few feet off to the left, where Todoroki and Dabi happened to be sitting. Well, I buy everything using one of his numerous credit cards. In fact, I have an extra one, so let me give that to you, Todoroki said, digging into one of his pockets. And other than that, I usually just ignore him. I see, Dabi said, quickly taking the credit card. What about your siblings? How are they doing? Oh, they're doing great. How long have they been like that? Izuku asked, tuning the two of them out. I couldn't tell you, but I found them 15 minutes ago, so probably longer than that. That's just great. Okay. We need to pull them apart. More heroes are going to show up any time now, and I would prefer if you didn't get arrested today. Yes, as would I, Shigaraki said, moving in to drag Dabi away. Shota, wait, the scarred man called, still chasing after him but slowing down considerably. I knew my father was behind this, Shota said, turning to face the villain. What? What? No, I would never follow that bastard's orders. I'd sooner die. You hate Endeavor too? He asked hopefully. I've never hated anyone more. Would you like to talk shit about him with me? Shota asked. And when the villain, was he really a villain if he hated Endeavor? Nodded. Shota sat down on the ground. The two of them spent the rest of the attack shitting talking Endeavor in a small clearing near the edge of the woods. It took both Midoriya and this blue-haired villain to pull them apart. Shota didn't know why the two of them were together, but he was too busy mourning the loss of his new friend to ask about it. Later that night, after all students had been sent home, Izuku found himself messaging Shigaraki via Steam. Are we bad people? I mean, I'm a wanted criminal, so a little. Why? No bones. Because I've just gotten my 17th angry voicemail from Todoroki because I took away his new best friend, and now I'm starting to question whether it was worth it or not. No bones. One of them was just, 30 seconds of him screaming. All Might sucks. Dabi hasn't stopped sulking since we got back. All Might sucks. Maybe we should have just let them get caught by the heroes. No bones. I'm one more, you're a fucking bitch. Why would you do this to me? Away from blocking him. All Might sucks. Well, slightly unrelated, but I think I just figured out who our theorist is. No bones. Who? All Might sucks. His most recent video, just posted, is titled, Why Michael Afton is the Real Villain of FNAF. All Might sucks. The first 5 minutes are him, possibly in tears, explaining how sad and angry William Afton must have felt after Michael was the reason his youngest son died. After Michael Afton took his son away from him without feeling any remorse whatsoever. No bones. No bones. Todoroki? No bones. Well, I suppose the name being freezerburn_theories does make sense. No bones. But I had no idea he knew about FNAF. All Might sucks. You'll have to talk to him later. All Might sucks. But for now, can you just give me his number so I can give it to Dabi so they stop whining? No bones. Yes, please, take his number. No bones. In fact, I'll give you his address and any information I have on his quirk, and I'll even try and get you his social security number. All Might sucks. Just give me his number, Freckles. All Might sucks. Preferably before Dabi burns down the bar. No bones. Right, sorry. The next time Izuku went to school, it was to move into the new dorms, because apparently it was just too dangerous to have the students living off campus. Like that will do anything to stop them, he thought bitterly, as he dragged another box of All Might merchandise up to his room. He had been told time and time again that it was time to retire half of the All Might themed shit he owned, but he just couldn't part with it. Sure, he worked with the man on a daily basis, but All Might was still his idol. If he wanted to create a shrine to the man, then damn it, he would. It was surprisingly Shigaraki that told him this the most, which was funny because how the hell would he even know? Of course, Izuku had talked about All Might. Shigaraki was a villain who despised him. He wanted to know why. But how could a few strongly worded conversations have told him just how much Izuku looked up to the man? It didn't really matter in the long run. However, he certainly wasn't going to get design tips from a villain, even if he was his friend. He'd sooner take advice from Toga anyway, because at least she didn't adorn her face with the hands of the dead. But even though he'd rather die than take the advice of a baby Kinney, it concerned him how strongly he resonated with what Shigaraki said. It wasn't all the time, just sometimes, like when they were talking about quirkless people, and Shigaraki said that, despite never doing anything wrong, they're treated just like common criminals. And, honestly, my sensei would probably be treated better than them, and he's killed like a bajillion people. Izuku chose to ignore the mass amounts of people killed at the hands of Shigaraki's sensei, and quite possibly the real leader of the League of Villains, and focused on the fact that he was probably right and that it concerned him. But Izuku could fix that in his own way, doing things in a peaceful and civil manner while following the law. There was no need to disfigure the fuck out of the commission officials, like Shigaraki had suggested. No, he could do it the right way, and he'd have all his friends behind him. Of course he would. There were nice people, and he didn't think any of them would be so prejudiced. So he ignored his doubts as he finished setting up his room. But when Ashido and Uraraka suggested they compete to see who has the best room, he decided not to participate. Instead, he waited for them to move past the second floor before hopping on a voice call with Shigaraki and updating him about the new living room situation over a nice, totally calm game of raft. Alright, everyone, that is the end of It Is Totally 100% Endeavor's Fault This Happened on their Gamer Ninja Honor. I'll probably be posting the last part in like a couple minutes because I'm in the mood to read right now. Anywho, I hope you all enjoy your weekend. I'm going to go get another afternoon coffee. And so, have an awesome, fantastic day, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Bye!